Okay, so let's get started. Okay. Okay, thank you. So, based on you guys, your response, like I see like a lot of you have worked with PowerShell and some with Python also. Maybe we'll start from the basic. Okay, the initial part would be a little bit of theory. You just have to bear with me. Okay, then eventually, slowly we'll start moving up. Okay. And let's keep this interactive. Okay, you don't have to think about this like any session, or it doesn't have to be one way. Okay, you can always unmute and talk if you want to say something. That's completely fine. Okay, with that, so what is a programming language? Like anyone, what do you guys think? Like what is a programming language in your definition, or what do you feel it is? You can just say anything. Okay, whatever you think. Yeah, I think no one wants to unmute and talk, is it?
Using code, we can make it some auto or some task.
Okay, okay. So you're saying we can do some task by writing something.
Yeah, writing code. Yes.
Okay, okay, fine. Uh, any other different opinion, or uh, anyone wants to say? Okay, we'll move. Don't worry. I'll not force you to say.
Computer. To
Uh,
communicate with the computer,
okay,
use some set of instructions and coding, right? So that is a programming language to communicate,
okay.
especially.
Right, right. Yeah, all your answers are right. Yes. So basically, it's just a tool or utility like which using which you can communicate with computer or your application, anything, right? Again, like in programming language, there are like two categories. Okay. You have something called high level language and low level language. So any guess, like what is that? Why they have kept that categorization? And by the way, like I will not have any slides. Okay, I will just talk. Initial, as I said, it will be a little bit of theory. Then it's going to be all practicals. Okay, we have two types. Okay, of classification. One is like high level, and other one is low level. Okay, Python falls under high level language. Okay, high level language is nothing but which is easy for humans to read. That those kind of languages you call it as a high level language. Okay, you have high level versus low level. Python falls under the high level category because it is easy to read. Okay, it's in simple English, and it is straightforward to read and write the code. But on the other hand, if you take low level language, those would be hard to read. I mean, by looking at the code, you can, if a normal person is looking at the code, you cannot directly see, okay, or understand what it is. Most of your OS and assembly languages and all will be written in the low level language. Okay. So that is the difference. That's a very short difference. I don't want to go very deep, but you just have to understand there is a two set of categories which we have. Okay. So you can just think like high level language as like you're talking to a normal person or your friend, but low level language is something like where you talk to some machines or robots, right? Where they understand, they have their own languages. Okay. Something like that. Okay. Um, with that, now um, let's go to the Python language itself. Okay. Like, I'll directly go into the installation part. Okay. We'll see everything in action because theory part, I feel like rest all you might be knowing like why Python is famous and all. Like it is widely used across like lot of industries. Okay. If I have to name specifically, right? It is used in a lot in automation, data science, and analytics. Okay, you have wide adoption in AI and machine learning space, web development, cloud, DevOps, cybersecurity. You name any field, like you will have a Python integration. It's very famous. That's why it is very famous. Okay. So now what we will do is let's see things in action. Okay. So Python is a open source thing. Okay, you can actually download it and run it on your machine. It runs on all types of operating system. Okay, which means it can run on Mac, Windows, and Linux. Okay, my operating system is Windows. That's what I'm going to use it for the demo. And the installation part is pretty simple. If you go to python.org, you can actually download it from here, depending on whichever operating system you are. For example, if I am on Windows, I can go for a standalone installer, which I already did. And if I open, since I already have it installed, I'm getting this option. But if not, you will see an option. It's pretty straightforward. Installation is very straightforward. So it's not very complex. Okay. So I'll not go with that since I already have it installed. But how can you verify once the installation is done, right? Let me just open the command prompt. You can just type Python hyphen version. Okay, this will give you, if Python is installed correctly, then this is what you'll basically get the output. What version is installed? Okay, this is the very first thing. When you're practicing, this is what you do. Then this is the software. Okay, then you need a environment or a tool. Okay, so I can write Python code in a notepad also. Okay, but let's say I can write something like this. Okay. This is still a Python code, and I can just save it. All your Python code will be in .py extension. Okay, that's the normal standard extension which we give .py for any Python code. This is still a Python code. I can still write it in Notepad. But if you have a separate tool or a software where uh, it can assist you in writing a better code, that is always helpful, right? So since most of the crowd here, at least the folks which I know, they are from the DBA. So you guys would be using SQL Server Management Studio, right? Which is like an IDE using which you can still write. Without Management Studio, you can still connect to SQL Server with command prompt and still write the same query, right? But we still use Management Studio because it gives that intelligence and it gives you that UI, right, which gives a better feel. Similarly, for Python also, you have different IDs. Okay, so if you search for Python IDE, you will get different IDs. Okay, you have something called PyCharm. Okay, and then Kiro. This is from AWS, and they have their own IDE. So Kiro, I think I should be having it here. Yeah. So this is how Kiro looks. Anyways, this I'll minimize. Then you have, I mean, there are different IDs. Why I'm saying is like you can use whichever ID you are comfortable you can use. But I'll be using Visual Studio. I mean VS Code, which is another ID. This also works in your Mac as well, but you can use this. Okay. The benefit what you get with this is it gives you that coloring and other things, which makes it easy for us to write the code. So that's the benefit you get. Okay. VS Code is also something, again, the IDE installation is also something easy, which you can download and do it. Okay. It is pretty straightforward. Once you open VS Code, you will be asked to select theme, etc. and all. And once you have selected, what I did, I have created a separate folder for this session. And just to get you familiarized with this UI, you can, what you can do is you can go to the open folder, like any IDE, right? You can just play around with it. I can go to sessions and I just did select folder, and that is what you see here. This is how I ended up here. Okay. The other thing which you can do is all these IDs support extensions. Okay. So if you go to the settings and go to extensions, you can install Python, okay, which will be helpful. In my case, it is already installed. But if you have a new setup, is there a question? Okay, is Naveen was clear? Okay, is it clear, guys, for everyone?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Oh,
clear. I mean,
Yes, it's clear.
okay, then fine. Maybe then it's just check from your end once. Okay, thank you. Okay, fine. Where I was. Okay, so these are some extensions which is going to make your work much more easier. So this is something which you can install. Any questions? Is anyone trying to speak? Ganesh, you want to say something? Okay, fine. Okay, I'll just close this. And this is where like you will see like what folders you have open. And if you want to create a new file, you can go here and I can just say file one and .txt. It's like you creating a file, and wherever this path is kept, right, it's going to um, create the file in that folder. Okay, you see file here. So why I'm just telling is if you're someone who's new to VS Code, so you will get a little bit easy by looking at the screen. And other options, what you have here is you have something called terminal. If I open terminal, this is going to open the command line interface on the path where you have opened this folder. Okay. And if you want to have a new terminal, you can open. And I mean, this is just a different sessions. Okay. I can just, if I don't want, I can delete it. Okay. So these are some of the initial things which you might need. Environment variable is it is done or yet to be delivered. So which environment variable setup you are asking, Gokul? You are referring to the Python program path, which we said? Yes. Okay. So that, yeah. So that happens during the installation itself. So in Windows, you will get an option, set the environment variable path. So what Gokul is asking is, okay, let me open that. Where is that? Advanced system settings and environment variables. So whenever you install any software, right? For example, in this case, I am able to call the if I run the same Python version command from here also, it will still recognize the command. And initially, I ran the command in C Windows system that it was able to run. So this is happening because the environment variable knows the path. So whenever I open um, anything, right? So here I should have the Python. So you see, right? This is where my Python software is located. So if this path is not there, every time I have to go to this path and then only run Python. Okay. So that's where this environment variable path helps. So this usually happens during the setup. At least in Windows, I know like during the setup, you can do it. If at all, if that didn't happen, this is the place where you go and put it. Okay. Maybe in Mac, I don't know how it behaves, but Linux, you can set it. Okay. Basically, you can do an export path and just set it. Whenever a profile gets loaded, you can just have that loaded. Okay. Yeah, let's go here. So here I have named it as a text file, but what we want to do is I want to create something called .py is the extension I told, right? So what I'll do is I'll just say file1.py. Okay. Now if you see, let me see if zoom it is there. Okay. Now, if you see here, right, for a normal text file, this is the color. Since we have that extension installed, you see this Python icon here, okay? And it recognized the .py extension, and that's why it is showing like this, okay? What I will do is I'll delete this. I don't need it. And if I want to do a similar thing on PowerShell, it is .ps1. Okay. And again, if you see, it's telling there is an extension which is available for PowerShell. Do you want to install it? I'll just say install. Okay. There is a PowerShell extension also available. So I was not having it here, but yeah, this is how you can install it. It's like an add-in. Okay. Now PowerShell extension is also installed. I just installed it, though we will not use it heavily, but I just installed it. Now let's write our first program, right? So any questions so far? I know I haven't covered anything, but I just wanted to check if everyone is in sync. You are able to follow along. You can just say yes or no in the chat or do
Yes,
this
yes.
reaction.
Yeah.
Yes, right? Okay, fine. Okay, like any programming language, right? Always they start with hello world. So at least if you run something and if it is printing something, you get that happiness, right? So that's why we'll also do a simple program which is easy to write. I'll just do a print. Okay, there is one more thing. Okay, I don't know if you have noticed. Let me just do a change. Okay, what I will do is now if you see there is this white circle, right? That indicates my file has a change. It is not yet saved. So in VS Code, you have this auto save actually, this one. So if this is enabled, you'll not see, even though if I make any change, okay, it gets auto save. So if you want that, you can have this enabled, but this is something which I felt it was helpful. Sometimes if I miss to save, this gets auto saved. Again, there is a drawback also. If you want to go back, or if you don't want to save it, then that's a different case. But this is another feature. Okay, I will just enable the auto save. Now we have a simple code which is written, right? So we want to now execute it. Okay, so if I do ls, so you can see this is our Python file. What I can do is, you see there is a play button. Okay, I can run this, and this is going to execute my code. Okay, if you see, it's picking the Python executable from this path, which I showed you in the environment variable path, and then it is passing on my file. So what I can also do is, I can also do something like this. Okay, wait, I picked the .py file. I'll just say file.py. It says it's not able to load. Okay, try. Let's try from here. I'll go to this path.
It is
File
file
one,
one.
right? Okay. My bad. No, okay. You're right. Thank you. I'll just say file one. Okay, so I can also call it here, or I can run it from here also. Okay, it is a very simple statement. I just have written print hello all, and it is printing. That's it. But we should also know, okay, this is something which you'll not be using it in real time, but what happens when we hit this execute, right? It is going to first do a compile. Okay, it's going to do something called, it's going to convert this code into something called a byte code. Okay, which you cannot see it if you run like Python file1.py. But what I can do is, okay, again, this is something extra. Okay, just to show you what happens behind the scenes. If I do compile all, and I'll say file1.py. Now, if you see, it's compiling. Okay, it has compiled and it has created something called file1.cpython and the version, and it has kept it .pyc. This is a compiled code. Okay, But when we run it directly, all these things happen behind the scene. Okay, if I run it directly, but if I use this -m compile all, it's going to show this file. Okay, and what I can do is I can take that compiled.pyc and I can still run that. What I will do is I'll go to this folder. Okay, and I'll just say Python and I'll just call this file. Okay, if I call this file, still it prints whatever it got compiled. Okay, just to show you, it is not taking from file one. Okay, let's say I have made changes to this file one. Okay, and still if I do it, it's going to print with the exclamatory mark which I have here, because this is a compiled one which is stored here, which we explicitly generated it. That's why it is printing. Okay, this is something which happens behind the scene. This is something just an extra. Again, you will not be dealing with these things, but just for your information. Okay. Now, what I will do again, just to avoid the confusion, I'll delete it. Okay. I told like I'll compare few things with PowerShell, right? So if I have to do the similar operation, right, it is a very simple print command which I did. So anyone wants to tell like how I can do the same thing in PowerShell? Yes. Okay, wait. So how many of you are familiar with PowerShell before? I'll quickly ask now. You can just say yes, no. No. Okay, I am okay. Okay, how many of you, anyone who doesn't know what is PowerShell?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, fine. And done the PowerShell task. Okay, fine, fine. Okay, I'll quickly tell. Okay, so PowerShell is also like in Linux, you have the Bash shell, right? Similarly, you PowerShell is from Microsoft. Again, this is open source now. This is a cross-functional tool, which again you can do same automation and all those things. Okay, which comes within Windows by default. Okay, this is how the interface looks. And yeah, what most of your Linux commands also work here. Okay, if you are someone from the Linux background, you do ls. Ls works here. I can do ps. Ps also works here. Okay, this is like a cross-platform tool again, which is used mostly on the automation side. And if you are building any pipelines, all those things, you can use PowerShell. Okay, mostly like if you are in with Azure native, okay, or if you're more on the Windows ecosystem, this is something which people frequently use for the automation work. Okay, why I brought in here is again like since many folks are from DBA and they deal with Azure Cloud, I thought I'll just do a comparison with PowerShell. That's right. Now, the in PowerShell things are a little bit different since there are like few folks who are not sure about PowerShell, right? Just to give a quick example. So here you will have again there is a separate IDE for PowerShell which comes native. Okay, you have something called ISC, PowerShell ISC, which is an integrated scripting environment for PowerShell. Still, I can also do the same in VS Code as well. Okay. Yeah. So here also I can go and I hope the intelligence works. Yeah. So if I, so here you will have the commands or you call it as a commandlet in verb and a noun. Okay. You will say, if I do get help, this is a commandlet which I can run, which is going to do, and it's going to print the help. Okay. Maybe I will just go here, hide. Okay. It is actually trying to open. What I'll do is I'll do get help. Okay. it's actually opening, and since it's opening a huge content, we are not able to see it in that window. But what I can do is I can convert this CMD to a PowerShell window, and I can do get help and run. So with this, it is printing. Okay. All your PowerShell commandlets will be in get help or set, or if I want to do get service, right? Let me type get hyphen service. Okay, so like this, it's going to print the service details. Again, I'm not going to go in depth like what each commandlets are, but just to give you a glimpse, okay, it will be in this sort of thing. Okay, get, set, start, stop, hyphen, what component, something like that. Okay, but now going back, right, if I have to do something similar in PowerShell, what I can do is I can do something like write host hello. So if I do this, okay, maybe I run it here only. This one is small. Okay, you see hello is printed. Okay, this is something like I just wanted to do a comparison PowerShell. I just did it. Write host will just print, which is equivalent to your print. Okay. Now moving on. So if you are learning any programming language or any of this languages, right? Definitely you will have to learn variables, and then you have to learn about data types, operators. These are the basics. Once you learn the variables, data types, and operators, then you have a section called like where you deal with loops and how you can iterate the task and all, how you can write conditions. Those are the things which you see in the next, and then you will see how you can make your code better, like writing a function or how you can use the existing functions which is already written by someone else. So those are the things which comes in the later phase. Okay, if you take any programming language, I would say like these are the standard things which you learn: variables, how you can assign something, and then what are the data types which it is supported, and then what are the different data structures it supports, and then comes the last part, which is the loops and other things. Okay, so in Python, okay, we'll see like how you can uh, uh, deal with the variables. Okay, I'll just say variable dot py, and like in, okay, so what I'll do is we'll define some values. Okay, uh, okay, before I show, you all know what is a variable, be it in any programming language. It can be your SQL or shell scripting or any language. Variable, everyone knows what is a variable. Yes. Okay, so variable is nothing but you take some value. Okay, you are putting it and storing it in that variable. Variable is nothing but you set a value and you just store it somewhere. It's, you can think of like a, you can think of like a container where you put something and store it. That's it. Okay, so for example, an object that can be given value and changed over process. Yes, perfect. Yeah, right. So what we'll do is I'll say a is equal to 10, and I'll just say b is equal to 20. Okay, now here if you see, I haven't declared data type. Okay, now what is a data type? Data type is nothing but what type of data we are going to store. Okay, I can store a number, I can store a string. Okay, so when I say okay, what I will do is, so in Python, how you can comment is put three quotes. You can write a multi-line comment. If you want to comment a single line, you can just put a hash. You can, that line gets commented. Okay, you have different data types. Okay, I can have a number which is 10 or any number. Okay, I can have, these are like int, or you can say numbers. Okay, then you have a string which is like, if I write something like hello, this will be like a string data type. Okay, and you have boolean, and then there are like other, you have float, all those things. Float is nothing but you have a floating number. Okay, which has a decimal thing. Like this, there are different types. But when it comes to Python, right, you don't have to explicitly say what is my data type. You can just assign a value and write it. Okay, now what I will do is, so you all know how to print the value. Okay, now the value 10 is stored in A. If I want to print, I can just write something like this. Okay, and if I hit on execute, okay, wait, and then this one, let me go here. You see, it is printing 10, which is fine. It's pretty much simple, but I haven't told. Okay, and if I want to print 20 also, right? What I can do is I can just copy and do something like this, which is going to print 20. All this is fine, right? Now I'll also have what I'll do. I'll say C is equal to, let's have a string. Okay, and I'll just say print C, and this will print. All this is easy. Okay, now what we will do is, let's say you have a variable, you wanted to know what is my type, the data type, whatever values are same. So by visually looking, you know it is a string and this is a number. Okay, but we wanted to know what data type it is. Okay, I'll have one more variable saying d. Okay, what we can do is, there is a function. Okay, so when I say function, okay, in this case print is also a function. For this function, you pass in an input and it is giving us an output. Okay, that is what a function, a very basic definition of function. You have a logic which is already defined. Some functions need an input, some functions doesn't need an input. Okay, in this case print is also a function where you pass in something, it is printing. Similarly, there is a separate function called type. Okay, which is going to tell what is the type of a given variable. Okay, so that is what this type is going to print. So here I'm not printing, I'm just using a the function. Okay, if I want to get the value, what I can do is I'll just say print and type of A. Now if I write, now if you see, it's telling it is of integer. Okay, that, so in this case if you see A, it is of type integer. That's what this is printing. Now, if I want to do similar thing for B, what I will do is I can just, I'll just copy it, or I can say B will do for all. Okay, so that, okay, now we know B is going to be integer. Okay, and C and D. Okay, C I have 100. Sorry, D I have 100. C I have mentioned hello. So what do you think? C is going to be what data type and D is going to be what data type? Okay, I see someone has raised a hand. Okay, that's long back. I hope it's okay. String, both string, but D is 100, right? Okay, as in quotes. Okay, so you're telling 100 is a string in this case, is it? D, since it is in string within the quotes. Okay, any other different answer, or any other have a, anyone has a different opinion? Okay, let me run. Okay, so as Sashi also mentioned, yes, D is considered as a string because it is within the single quotes. Okay, um, should I always keep a single quote, or can I also keep a double quote? So, okay, let me do this thing. Okay, I'll say E is equal to 100. So now I'm using double quotes. So now what do you think E data type is going to be? Is it still going to be string, or it will treat this as a number? I'm using double quotes instead of single quotes. String, okay, fine. Let's see. Yeah, it is still a string. Okay. So anything which is in single quotes or double quotes, it's going to be treated as a string. Okay. So what you understand from here is, so Python is a dynamically typed language, so you don't have to explicitly declare any variable. Okay. So one more thing which I want to tell is, so whatever I have done, right, I have written print, then type A, B, C, right? I can write it this in a single line also. Okay. What I can do is I'll just say type of A, I can put a comma, and I can say type of B. Probably I'll just say C. I'm not going to write all. I'm just telling you can also do something like this. Now it gets printed in a single line. What I can do is I can just comment all these things. Keep this alone. Okay, so this is what it is printing. Print type E. Oh, okay. I should have. Okay, let me do it. I'll just add it here. Print type of E. Yeah, it is a string. Okay, which is defined here. Fine. All these are string. Now, what I will do, I'll remove this. I'll just say 10.25. Okay. Then I'll say f is equal to true and h is equal to false. Now, what we will do is probably I'll remove all these things, okay, so that it will be easy. You can read what I have given. And we'll go with E, F, and H. Okay. Now, if you see, this E is a floating number, which is 10.25, and F is like a Boolean. It's like either true or false. In those kind of situations, you can use a Boolean data type. That is what it is. And false, as I said, even though like I have written false, it is treated as a string. But if you want a Boolean false, you can remove the code, and I have to give it, right, there is a typo. Okay, false. Now this will also be treated as a Boolean. Okay, true or false. These are the common data types which you use. Okay, still there are others, but these are something which are very common which you use. And now what we will do is, okay, we will see how you can combine these outputs. Okay, I'll just comment this part. And what I will do is we'll remove all these things as well. I'll just say name is equal to Naveen, and what other things I'll say? I'll just say, like, let's say you have a variable, and now so far you know like how to print the value defined in the variable, right? Now let's say if I want to say any other text, okay, before this. Let's say I want to print something like, let's say, hello, Naveen, or whatever name is given, right? What we can do is, I can just say hello and put a quotes and put a comma, and I can write something like this. Okay, this is one way of writing. If I run this, it says it prints hello and a space, whatever I have left, and my name. So if I remove this, then you will see, okay, this is still how many? Two characters, right? Fine. Wait. Okay. So by default, you get one space and it is printing. Now, let's say I have, let's say this is like first name and this is my last name, which I'll just say it as Kumar. Now, I'll just change this also. I can write like this. Okay. This will print the values of both first name and last name, where you are taking the values from two variables. And let's say if you want to add something like this is still printing, but there are different ways, or I would say better ways of doing this instead of writing like this. Okay, because if you are fetching values from different variables, okay, this code might not look better, because I'll show you. I'll show you like what are the different ways, using other ways using which you can write. What I'll do is I'll just say um, you have something called a format function, okay, where I can just write something like this, and I can say here some value is going to come, okay, and then there's going to be one more value which I'll be adding, and let's say I'm just ending it. So what I can do is um, I can say, okay, this is the format function. Like I told you, there are different functions which will be available where you pass in something. So I'm going to tell what is going to be the values which I have to supply in these brackets. Okay, I can just say like this. This will also do the same thing. Okay, whatever we have written. Okay, again, this is also something which is not commonly used, so I'll show you one more method, okay, which will be much more better. You have something called f string, okay. I'll just say f, and then I'll type whatever I want, and what I can do is I can call the variable within this. Then again I can write whatever I wanted to, and I'll say is my first name, and then my last name is, then I can call the variable like this. So this is another way of writing. Okay, so this is something which you will see commonly used. Okay, any question? Okay, no, fine. So these are the different ways you can write and combine the text when you take it from a variable. Okay, so these are the different options, and this is something which you will commonly see. And this is much more in a readable way, right? Compared to this, you have comma, comma. Here within this bracket, if you see a variable name, you know what value it is and how you can fetch it. And one more thing, whenever you define a variable, there are like certain standards which you have to follow. You cannot have a variable name starting with a number. Okay, like that, there are certain rules. Okay, one is the number. I think you cannot also have a special character also. So this is another thing. So you have to have a meaningful name. You cannot start with number or special characters. So these are some rules which you have it with Python. Okay, I think there is something called Type 8 Python standards. Okay, so there are like these are some official coding standards from Python. Okay, which you can read. Okay, if you search for Pep 8 style guide for Python code, I don't want to show you right now, but you just read it at the later part, okay? Because this might be too much, but if you want to make a code better and have a proper standards, right? You can go through this one. This is a very good things which they have officially documented. So you can look at this, okay? But yeah, these are some of the standard things which you have to keep in mind when you name a variable. Okay. Again, this is something common. Like your variable name should be meaningful. You cannot just keep any random name, since though it is allowed, you should make something which is more sensible. Okay. There is also one more data type called have you heard about complex numbers? Anyone? Like again, this you will not use it, at least if you are in core IT side, right? You will not use complex numbers. But if you are from machine learning or data science and all, like there, for some calculations and all, you will use some complex number, which will be something like 1 plus 2j or something like this, this will be treated as a complex number. Okay, just to show you, if I type, if I want to see what type it is, and if I run, right, you see it is a complex data type. Okay, again, this will not be used. I just thought of telling you so that you know something like this exists, right? So that is what I just wanted to show. Now, what I will do is we'll see something similar in PowerShell also. Okay, what I will do, I'll just say PS variable. Do you guys think it is like, since there are like few folks who are not familiar with PowerShell? Okay, I'm just thinking if I have to do that comparison, do you want to do it, or you feel we'll stick with Python alone so that that will reduce the confusion? What do you guys think?
Fine with the Python.
No need. Only
Yeah,
with Python,
Python
right?
only. Yes.
Okay, that's better then. Yeah, I'll not go with PowerShell then. Okay, I'll just delete. Okay, then what we will do is, what is that? Comparison would help, but no, I said, okay, fine. Yeah, maybe PowerShell will do a separate session. Okay, we'll stick with Python only here. Okay, just to avoid any confusions. Okay, then now you know variable, how to get the value from the variable, and then what we will do is you have something called operators. Okay, uh, where you, okay, what I will do, I will just say if I name with, prefix it with numbers, right? It will be like in the same order. Operators. Okay, it's easy. Operators is nothing but like which, using which you can do your calculations and all, right? So again, I'll take a simple, like just two numbers. Okay, and let's say I want to, like, there are different operators like any programming language. You can do addition. If I want to do addition of these two numbers, I'll just say a plus b. If I want to do subtraction, I'll just do a minus b. And similarly, multiplication, you can also do division. Okay, these are some of the common things, like why I know these are like very basics, but when you work on any automation and all, right, there are chances where you, let's say, if you are working on any automation where you, let's say, for example, you are getting a disk usage and all, right? So in those cases, you have to do some calculations to convert the numbers from bytes to GB and all, right? Those kind of scenarios, you would be dealing with these arithmetic operators. Okay, that's why I'm just quickly showing. And apart from this, there are like other operate functions also which you can do. I can do something like modulo. Okay, if I want to say modulo, anyone know what is modulo? Like if I do something like this, modulo, have you heard about it?
Yeah, it gives you even number, lowest even number. It will not give any
Okay,
points. Yeah, numericals. It will give numerical. Then.
okay. Any other answer?
Both the positive and negative integers are considered in modulo. Like won't give separately like minus or plus.
Okay, okay. So what do you guys think the output of this command will be? Like a, this model of 2.
Reminder constant.
Okay, so in this case, what reminder is 0. I mean, 10 is divisible by 2, right? So that's why you get 0. So what I will do is, okay, modulo is nothing but, let's say, so in this case we had 10, right? So if you go to the old school method, right, of where we do this division. So if I have 2 here and we had 10, okay, if so 10 is divisible, like 2 times 5 is 10, right? So your remainder will be 0 here, okay. So in this case, this is, what do you call this one? Like this one is a remainder, okay. I'll just say reminder. What do you call this one? Anyone? I know it's been like
Quotient.
years since you would have heard about it. Okay, what is this?
Quotient. Quotient.
Quotient. Right. Yeah, this is quotient. Okay. So all these things are like something which you will use in the calculation. So in this case, right, if I change this value to 9, this time you will see 1. Okay. So that is what you see here, right? So for example, let's say if you are writing a program to find given numbers and all, right? So you can just use this model of 2. If it is returning 1, then it is an odd number. If it is 0, then it's an even number. That is just a simple logic, okay? Again, there are like a lot of other use case, but just to give you a simple logic, I'm just telling you this, okay? Then this is the modulo. We talked about this thing, right? Quotient. Okay. So how you can find that is, in this case, A, you can put double slash. This will return the quotient. And for 9, it's going to be 4 because 2 times 4 is 8. And now if you see, the modulo is 1. If I change this to 10, it's 0 and 5. Okay. Again, I just want to tell you these things exist. There are some cases where for some calculation, if you have to use it, this is going to be helpful. Okay. Now these are the basic arithmetic operators, whatever we have seen. Then you have something called assignment operators. Okay. Assignment operators. Assignment operators is nothing but like you assign something and you can again like you can do calculations on top of it and all, right? So we have seen like how to assign a value or I mean how to assign a value to a variable. Now what I can do is, let's say I want this value to be incremented by 2, or I want to add something extra, right? I can do something like this. I can say I can update the x value to 12. Let's say if I want to add 2, or let's say I want to add variable of a, which is declared here. Okay. Okay, I'll not go with the variable, so I'll just stick with this. Okay. For now, let's say now your x value will be 12. Okay. This is one way of writing. The other way is, okay, let's say I'll just say y is equal to 10. This similar thing, whatever I've written here, right? You might be seeing some code which is written like this. This will also do the same thing like whatever is mentioned here. Okay. So it's going to assign the value from right to left. Okay. It's going to go from here. Maybe let's run it. Okay. I'll just say print x comma y. So you see, right, both returns 12 because why I'm telling is like if you are referring to any code online, right, you shouldn't think like what is this. So it is just you are incrementing the value of your variable by this number, whatever is defined here. Okay. It's not like you have to explicitly write and do it like this. You might see a lot of code doing it like this. Okay. Next, you can also assign multiple. Let's say I want, in this case, x and y both are 10, right? I can do something like this also. Okay. and I can just say print x comma y. It returns 10. Okay, I can, if same value is going to be assigned for multiple variables, maybe again down the line it can get changed in your program, but you can also do it like this. Okay. Then what I wanted to show is like you can also do, let's say I have excess 10, right? If I want to just increment it, okay, I can do asterisk equal to 2. So if I do like this, okay, it's like 10 power 2. Now if I print x, let's see what value. Now you see 20, right? 10 power 2 is 20. So like this, there are different operators. Again, like will not spend more time here. It's enough of things. Then you will move on to the comparison. Okay. Comparison operators. So comparison operators is nothing but you can compare the values. I'll just say AB is equal to 100. This is a variable which we have declared. Okay. I can say, okay, I can ask if AB is equal to 10. Okay. If I run this, it's going to say false because it is 10, but we are asking is it equal to 7, which says it is going to return whether it is a given condition is true or false. Okay. Similarly, what I can do is I can also say whether a given value is matching or not. What? Okay, I mean, oh, I gave it. It's actually multiply. This one you are referring, right? Yeah, yeah. It's 10 into 2. I meant. You're right, Mohammed. My bad. Okay, any questions? Let me check. Any questions? No. Okay. Fine. So this is like equal to and not equal to, and then you have greater than, and then you have less than. Then you can do greater than or equal to. These are some of the different operators, comparison operators, which you can use, and you'll see like from here, right? Yeah, I think from here. So it says false. First one is false. Second condition is true. It is not equal to 7. Then the third one is either it is greater than 7. Okay, this is greater than 7 is true. Less than is false. Like this, you can also do a comparison. Okay, these are comparison operators. And then you have something called logical operators, where logical is nothing but like you will write this and or conditions and all, right? You can also do the same thing in Python. Okay, I can say AB is greater than 7. Okay, this is one condition which I'm checking, and what other variables I have? Like I have y, right, which is set to 10. I'll just say y is less than 20. Now, if I run this, it's going to print. So in this case, both the conditions should satisfy. That's when it's going to print. So if I just say or, for or, it's going to be like any one condition, it should satisfy. Okay. If I just say this, it will still print true because though this condition is not satisfied with this condition, it is true. That's why it's printing true. Okay. This is one more. This is on the logical operator. Again, you have like nor, not, and all. Okay. But this is something which you commonly use from the automation standpoint. Not as nothing but like if you want, right? I'll quickly write that also. You can do AB is less than 7. So AB is it is less than 7 means we have given 10, which is false. which gets converted to true. So not AND gate and all, if you would have studied in your school days or college days, right? So this is going to change, switch, flip it. Okay, if it is true, it's false. If it is false, it's true. Then there are like membership operators. Okay, like if you want, let's say, what I can do is I'll just say xy is equal to hello. Okay, and if I want to look if a specific string is available in this variable, okay, I can do something like this. Okay, let's say if I want to look if this has e, okay, in xy. If I do something like this, what I will do, maybe I'll just comment till this part so that rest all will be excluded. Your output will be which small. So what we are dealing. So this is true. Okay, it has e. Let's say if I ask for a, right, it will say false because it doesn't exist. Okay, so this is how you can check if a given value exists or not. Okay, this is one thing. Then what other things we can check is there is something called, okay, maybe with operators, I think these are the common things which we use. Okay, then whatever so far we have seen, right, it is just storing a single value for a given variable. We have stored a string, numbers, float, or boolean data types. Now we'll see a little bit some of the other important data structures. Okay, first we'll start with something called list. Okay, list, I'll just say 4.py. So list is nothing but you can store more values. Okay, and it supports different data types. For example, if I'm doing 10, I cannot store a string here, okay, by default. But what I can do is like I can take this as a list. Okay, so list, you will define it in a square bracket, and here I can store different data types. Okay, like I can say 10.5 like this. Float also, there are like different data types which I can store in a single variable. Now you might be thinking, okay, like this looks fine, but how are we going to access it, right? Even before accessing, okay, like I can just type print of a and execute it. This is going to print. Okay, it's printing. This is good. Now let's do one more thing. I'll just do type. Okay, since you know these commands, I'm just showing you. If I run type of a, it is going to tell it is a list type. One list will always, you will always define in the square bracket, and as I said, it can hold different data type. Okay, now if you want to access a specific element of a list or a specific value, okay, in programming world, all these things would be indexed. Okay, it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, it goes on like that. Okay, in this case 10 is in the first position, that will be having an index value of 0. Then it goes to 1, 2, 3, like that. It gets incremented. So how you can access it is like I'll just type print of your variable, and you will say, you will define which index position value you want to pick. So if I say 0, it's going to pick 10. And similarly, if I say 1, it's going to pick the next one. Okay, it is picking this one. Like this, you can access different elements in your list. And let's say if you want, I'll just say 20, 30, I'll just name it like this. Okay, now I want to access first two elements. Okay, this is where there is a concept called slicing comes. Okay, what I can do is I'll just say we have this index. So I'll say start with 0, okay, and go up to 2. Okay, this will print 10 and hello. So what will happen? I told you these things gets indexed. 10 is 0, hello is 1, and then next 10 is 10.5 is third. Sorry, 0, 1, 2. 10 is 10.5 is 2. But in this range, I have given 0, colon 2. Okay. So 2 gets excluded. I mean, index position 2 will get excluded. So it's going to print starting from 0 and 1. If I want this index position 2 also, I have to write 0, colon 3. This will print the third, I mean, the index position 2 also. Okay. So that is how you can slice a specific portion of your data in your list and get it. Similar thing, like whatever we have seen, it is coming from this side. Okay. I can also reverse this. Okay. What I can do is if I do -1, it's going to come from the end. Okay. So in this case, 30 is the last value. It is picking that if I go with -1. Okay. Now, if we want to add right now, if I print A, right? So this is still going to print whatever I have here. Let's say you have a set of values in your list, okay? And you wanted to add a new element, okay? What you can do is there is a append function which you can call and you can add a new element, okay? I'll just say extra, okay? Now what will happen? This gets added, okay? Maybe I should have printed it. I'll just print A. Now, if you see to our variable A, this got appended. Okay. So where you will use like again, like for now, just think, just understand the concept. Okay. Probably when we do some other like when we do the final coding, right? Like I'll bring some real-time use cases. There you will understand like where we use all these things. Okay. The whole idea is for now you should understand these concept. Okay, these things exist, but later when we build something, some tool or some automation things, then you will know like where these things are used. Okay. Okay. Right. So now using this append function, you can add an element. Okay. Similarly, so right now, if you see this element got added at the last index. So if I count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. Okay, this is of index 5. Now let's say I want to insert, but I don't want it to be inserted in the end. Okay, let's say I want to insert it in the first index. Okay, so what I can do is I'll just say insert. Okay, there is a separate different function. Okay, and I'll define what is going to be my index number. I'll just say first. Okay, now what will happen is this is going to insert this first string. Okay, this is the value which is going to be inserted in index position 1. So what I can do, print A, and I can do. So now if you see 10 first, this has got inserted here. So if you, in case if you want to control where your data has to be inserted in a list, this is something you can do. Use this insert function in your variable. Okay. Now let's say you want to modify. Okay, I want to update this element. Okay, whatever we just inserted, right? What I can do is A of index. Okay, I'll just say this as updated. And now if I print A, just see what happened. This first value got updated. Okay, that is what we have done. Like this, you can also update an element which you have defined in the list. And the last thing, like let's say if you want to remove something, right? Let's say I want to remove the updated value. Okay. What I can do is there is a separate function called remove, and I'll say which one I want to remove. Okay. I'll just say I want to remove the first element. Okay. Index number 1, not the first, as in this, which is of index 0. I want to remove this one, which got updated. Okay. And then if I do a print of A, Now let's run it. Now if you see that got removed in the last output. Okay, these are like different functions which you can use on top of your list data. Okay. Any questions? You are able to follow?
Yeah, yes, Naveen.
Okay, then fine. I will move on. Then we have something called tuple. Okay. Um, yeah. You have a question, Pavitra? Okay, I guess it's no, but yeah, you can just put it in chat or unmute. Okay, so list, you saw we define something like this in a square bracket, right? So tuple is something which you use this square bracket. Again, I don't know, like I know that is a square bracket. So what do you call this? I know you can call this as a parenthesis, but uh, anyone, like, what do you call this bracket? This one, whatever you see, set. Okay, there is a separate concept called sets also. So, but yeah, if this is a set bracket, yeah, this is the bracket you define tuple. Okay. Um, so here tuple also supports different data types. Okay. Probably what I will do is I'll just copy here. We'll use the similar data set. Okay. Now what we will do is I'll just say print. I'll just say type of A. Okay. Now if you see, this is telling this is of a type tuple. So as of now, the only difference what we did is we just changed the bracket. Okay, that's it. It Python is considering this as a tuple. But what is the difference, right? You might be thinking like just with a bracket, we are just changing the data type, the data structure. But what benefit do we get, right? So let's see. Okay, now let's say with tuple, you cannot update or modify the data set. Okay, whatever you feed in, that's going to be fixed. That is the main difference. Okay, let's say if I have a of 0, let's try. We'll see if we can update it. So in case of list, this is how we did the update, right? So I called my variable, and again the index concept and all, it's going to be the same. I'm okay. Before even going there, right? What I will do is just to show you, I'll comment this. I will show how this data looks like. I'll say immutable or unchangeable in tuple and allows duplicate element. Okay, yeah, that's right. That is correct. Say okay. Now this is how. So the way how you access and all is going to be same. The indexing things which is 0, 1, 2, 3, rest all is going to be same. The moment like if you try to modify it, it's not going to allow. It's going to throw an error. Okay. Tuple object does not support item assignment. So whatever you have defined, that is the value. Okay. So you cannot change or modify or remove an element from a tuple. That is the only thing. Okay. Then we'll move on to the next one. We have something called sets. Okay. Let's go here. So now for sets, right? I'll just say, or I'll use the same thing. We'll use the same variable name and say. Now what? Okay, before even doing this, right? I will just say I'll put it here so that it will be easy for you to check. This is a list, okay, and this is a tuple. this one is a set. So if you see, the brackets are the one which gets changed. Okay, square bracket, you use this. This is a list, and if you use this set bracket or this bracket, it's going to be a tuple, and this one is a set. Okay. Now, what I will do, I'll just define some value. Okay. Now we have said like A contains 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. This is the data which I have stored. Okay. Let's try to print this. So what I will do is I'll use the same value for this and this also. Okay. Let's print X, Y, and Z. And let's see the output. Okay, wait. It's actually A. Okay, if you see for list and tuple, it printed the output as it is. Okay, but for sets, okay, it removed the duplicates. Okay, that is the thing. So it's 2, I had a duplicate entry, 5, I had a duplicate entry. So it had removed the duplicate entry for sets. So that is one advantage which you get with set. It's going to remove all the duplicates, whatever you have, and it's going to print. So where this will be useful is, let's say you are scanning a file and looking for some IP address, okay, and you just want to know the distinct set of IP addresses which got printed in that logs. So in that case, let's say you are filtering each line and storing the IP value in a variable, and at the end, you're just printing the list of IP addresses. So if you are using list or tuple in those cases, it's going to give a lot of duplicate entries. But if you're using set, it's going to give only the IPs. Okay, these are the IPs which got captured in the log, and it's going to give that. But if your requirement is to find like number of entries and all, then that is a different case. But if your requirement is just to fetch the IPs, if it is exist, give me the list of unique IPs which was in the log, something like that. Then in those cases, the set is going to be helpful. Okay. Then again, like you can also add elements to this set. Okay. So what I can do is, I'll just say add 10. Let's see, and then I'll just say print A. So now you see 10 got added. Okay, you can also add element, and you can also update it. Okay, let's do that also. I'll just say a dot update, and I'll just say, or I'll just say 8 comma 9, and let's print it. So in this case, this value was not there, it got printed. It's like same. It's like adding, or you want to do update, you can also do. So in add, it was just one number, but update, I just showed you like you can also update multiple values within this. And you can also like remove an element. So let's say I want to remove, right? I can just call a remove function, and I can tell which element I want to remove. Okay. And then I'll just say this, and you see this got removed. The second number 2 got removed, and that's how you can remove. And yeah, these are some of the common things which you use with sets. Again, there are like different functions also. Okay, if you want to clear all the elements from this set, right, there is a function called clear also. Okay, if I do clear and then print of A, this is going to clear. Okay, wait, I'll just say just to see. Okay, wait. It's not clearing, is it? Okay, it got clear. It just says set, right? Yeah, I missed that bracket. So you can also clear it just to, since we were printing the output, right? It was showing the same value. I just added this hello just to differentiate. Then I told you like with this set, right? You can update the value. That's what we have seen all these things. Let's say if you don't want the updates to happen, right? What you can do is you can make this as a frozen set. Okay. So let's say I'll just say frozen set, and I'll just say there is a separate function which you can call and you can put the values. Okay. For example, I'll use the same set of values which I used and I'll put it here. Okay. And now I'll just call this. Okay, there is a typo here. I'll say frozen set. Okay. What we did now, if you see, it's not even giving. Okay, if I try to do something like this, okay, where I want to add 12 and I'll print this frozen set. Let's see if it is allowing. You see, has no attribute to add. So if you want a set which someone don't, if you don't want to modify the data, that's when you use this frozen set. Okay, this is another concept with set. If you don't want any modifications to your data once it is decided in your program, again, like you might be thinking like what we'll do with all these things. All these are different concepts which you should know, like when you build the actual program. That's why we are covering all these things. I think we'll pause here because like I still have like few other things which I thought we'll cover, but it's going to be 12. I thought we'll stop here. Okay. Probably the other things which I had is there is something called dictionary, which we want to see, which is a key value pair. Okay, whatever we have seen here, all like single or multiple values, right? Dictionary is something like key value pair, which you will use it in many of your automation. Then we'll see like how you can take the input from the user, because all these things we were hard coding the values, right? In the next session, I'll talk about dictionary, how you can take the input, and then how you can play with your data, how you can do a slicing on a string, and other things which I had is like, then we'll talk about more on the loops, because once you know loops, right, we can start building small projects and other things, some real-time use cases, how you can write the programs and on. And once we reach functions and modules, then we'll be in a much more better position where we can write some real-time automation use cases. Okay. So all those things we'll plan for the next session. Okay. I think it's better if we'll stop here. I am going to stop the recording and we'll be open for questions.